Hey everybody, it's Aunt Bibi here. It's Thursday, June 7th. It's about quarter to one in the afternoon. And I just wanted to do a final video about the BC Green Party convention that I attended in Kamloops over the weekend. Um, First of all, I want to give a little shout out to Scott Creighton, American Everyman Church Dog 42 channel. He did a very good video today about Stefan Halper and his background. So if I know there's some people who watch my videos that came over from Scott's channel because he recommended it. And then there's some people I think who watch my channel now because they're familiar with me from other channels and online chats. The thing I wanted to say is kind of funny. Scott, when he's mentioned the name of my channel, he always says Aunt BB, and I always say Aunt BB, and I'm not sure if his pronunciation is the way people in Lynchburg would say it, or if that's how his parents or his mother said Aunt. I'm from Winchester, at the north end of the Shenandoah Valley in the northern tip of Virginia. And I was raised saying Aunt BB. And I don't know if that's the West Virginia influence. Both my parents were from West Virginia, and a lot of the people in Winchester have family roots in West Virginia because the state line is very close. So anyway, it's interesting. Aunt, potato, potato. Anyway, after the convention, it was interesting to get away from it and sort of think about what was going on there. And so I took my Greyhound bus back to Abbotsford, where I live, on Monday, the day after the convention ended, on Sunday, June 3rd. And I realized that what I was facing was snobbery at the convention. So it was overwhelmingly white and affluent, and that's reflects the views of the BC Greens. They're from that professional class, and that's the problem with the U.S. Democratic Party. That they have switched from appealing to the working class to appealing to the professional classes and the upper classes. And that's what I was seeing at the BC Green Party convention, I realized. After I did all those walkabout videos at the convention, that evening, Saturday evening, June 2nd, there was a big banquet. And so I had made a bunch of protest posters expressing my views and how they differ from the Green Party line. And I wasn't sure what to do with them, to hold them up at events or post them. I was afraid they'd be torn down. So I just held on to them and decided I'd just share them with the people at my table at the banquet. And so I did that. I brought them and I told them I had these posters and I had markers. If they didn't agree with something on them, they could write something on them. There was a woman sitting next to me who really objected to my comparison of U.S. and Canadian politics, because a lot of Canadians, they have, I guess they would be the Canadian version of American exceptionalism. They just think that Canada is special and it's not like the U.S. And it's a very narrow parochial view, but it's very common. I encounter that all the time in Canada. So so after the banquet, we had our food. Sonia first now, the one of the three BC Green Party members of the Legislative Assembly. She gave the keynote address after the banquet, and the theme was a 21st century democracy, proportional representation for BC. So the Greens right now have pushed for a referendum in the fall on proportional representation, because based on the popular vote, the Greens should have gotten a lot more than 3 seats in the Legislative Assembly. I think locally, the candidate that I supported, even he was just a last minute candidate, a parachute candidate, came in from the outside. He got almost 11% of the vote, and I think the Greens in some areas, well, yeah, it was generally at least 10% that they got in a lot of areas. So I think that's a really great idea, the proportional representation. They're going to come up. They've got 3 options for that, and it gets a little complicated, and that's the problem. But the current first past the post system just does not give you the true representation of party support right now. So Sonia, she gives her speech, and I'm listening, and she makes some veiled reference to, I know it's Donald Trump. She doesn't name Donald Trump, but she says something to the effect of disgraced, the disgrace to political office or something in Washington, D.C. And I know right away she's talking about Donald Trump. And I don't really like this kind of talk because I oppose Trump on his policies. Now, I've never been one to really get upset about him personally. To me, he's just the result of his upbringing, his silver spoon upbringing. So I don't really, and it's not as though Hillary Clinton, her personal behavior is that great either. So when Sonia first now makes this reference to Donald Trump, I just start saying out loud to myself, now not loudly, but out loud, no, 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 it's the system. And the lady sitting next to me who had objected to my posters comparing U.S. and Canadian politics punches me in the arm and says something like, hush. And that just pisses me off even more. So I then say out loud, and I don't think I was that loud, I just said it out loud to myself, yeah, go ahead and hit me, or something to that. I said, yeah, hit me if you don't agree with what I say, or something like that. Now, Sonia, she hears me. I'm not that far away from her, but I was surprised. And she stops her speech, and she says, what's going on, or something. And I said, I was really startled, and I said, I should have said that I should have told her that I disagreed with her. But instead I just said, oh, I'm getting hit because I'm saying something or disagreeing with something. And so Sonia says, oh, no hitting. And then she continues with her speech. So actually that was a big deal. Yeah, because in a setting like that, in a very politically correct, polite setting like that in Canada, that's a big deal that I interrupted her speech. Now, she did go on. She said some good things. She went on and she started talking about income inequality in the U.S. and how the wages of workers have barely increased since the late 1970s, I think was. And then she mentioned how much executive compensation has just skyrocketed in comparison. And that was good. I was nodding as she was saying that. She also said that, mentioned all the lobbyists in Washington, D.C. and how they're just, I don't know, they outnumber, I don't know, double or triple the number or something. I don't know. They outnumber all the members of Congress and senators on Capitol Hill, and she says that these things can happen in Canada. She was saying it's not as bad in Canada, but it could get that bad, and I thought that was very good. Now, something else she said in the speech I didn't agree with. She talks about, she stresses the importance of education, but what she's talking about is university education. And this is the attitude of the professional class. So she doesn't realize, or maybe she knows, but she just ignores this, that most people don't get a university education. And most people are not professional class, they're working class. So, if you look at her background, so it's not a surprise that she would be saying these things, and it's not a surprise that the Greens would be focusing on this. So I had experienced these kind of attitudes when I was in teachers training in British Columbia. Now, I really had a hard time in teachers training. They really they went after me. You know, I wasn't conforming to their views. They went after a Dutch woman who had a different perspective as a Dutch immigrant. I was an American immigrant. I didn't, we have different views based on our upbringing, and they did not understand that. I enjoyed the Dutch lady because I speak some Dutch. She was very interesting and smart. They also, interestingly enough, went after two Indigenous women who were in the teachers training. Now, it was very telling to me, probably not to them, that the people who just sailed through that training, they were all white and Canadian born. So BC and Canadian society, especially in the education system, they are not tolerant to dissenting opinions or a diversity of views. And you can see right here about Sonia first now. She taught high school. Yeah. So this is the way she sees things. She has a postgraduate degree in history from the University of Victoria. Victoria is the capital of British Columbia. It's on Vancouver Island. And, so that's her background. So this is no surprise. This is the way the BC Greens think. They're a professional class, and they stress university education. So, yeah. So this is her Wikipedia page. So, yeah, high school teacher. And so these are the three BC Green MLAs in the legislature. And there's only three of them, so they have to divide up their responsibilities. So these are Sonia's. So she was talking about income inequality. So you can see here, this is why she would talk about that. She has to, she's concerned with poverty reduction. Education, okay, so this is one of her portfolios, I guess you might say. And yeah, so that's what she covers. And environment, climate change. So they're always harping on about climate change and carbon targets, but they have no problem with corporations. They love Google and Uber and everything like that. It's hunky-dory. Okay, so anyway, that was what happened at the convention. So I created a scene at the keynote address. And the end of that keynote address, people at my table were ignoring me, and I could tell I was getting a lot of disapproving looks from people because I had dared to interrupt Sonia Furstenel's keynote address. Oh yeah, the other thing about Sonia is her father was originally from East Germany. He was born in 1939, and as a kid, he had well, his two older brothers had been drafted into the German, the Nazi army, but they had survived, fortunately. But his father, Sonia's grandfather, was taken away by the Soviets, and I guess he went to the labor camps, and I don't think they heard from him again, which is terrible. But anyway, that's her background. So anyway, that was my experience at the convention. And yesterday I got this email asking for an evaluation of the convention. Now, I'm going to take a little break here, and I want to show you something. When I posted my Hard Bastard video, I got a number of comments, and one of them I really liked. I thought it was funny. Is this fellow Jay Scott? And I don't know, Jay. I'm not sure if Jay knows me from. Well, I think he watches Scott's channel too. I don't know if he knew me from other channels or online chats. I'm not sure. But anyway, he knew right away. You know, I go by Aunt BB, but you know, I'm Barb Hammer. So he knows this is the name I had on in YouTube when I was in the online chats, BB Hammer. So he goes, Jay Scott says, BB Hammer, the troll queen. I hope you can handle what you dish out. Karma is a bitch. Well, yeah. Yeah, well, Karma's a bitch, and so am I. So I am embracing that role as troll queen. So coming out of the BC Green Party convention, I have decided that I am going to troll the Greens. I'm going to troll the Greens. I was just trying to decide whether to remain a member. So I've decided I will continue to be a member of the BC Green Party and the Green Party of Canada. But I'm going to troll them hard. I'm going to be the bitch at these conventions, and I'm going to disrupt, and I'm going to say things that they don't like. I'm going to say things that if I don't agree with them, I'm going to speak up. And it takes a while to learn the ropes of these conventions. There's a learning curve, and I'm learning. I learned from last year's convention, and I learned from this year's convention how to question, how to approach, how to bring up these subjects. So that's my role now. I'm going to be the troll queen. So I got this email asking for evaluation of the convention. And so I've already done this, but I'll just show you what the evaluation form says. So anyway, I had learned about this year's convention by email because I get all the BC Green Party emails. So it's my second time at a convention. I attended last year. The website was easy to use, and it had all the information I was looking for. I got an early bird ticket. I registered online, and let's see. Okay, let's go on the next page. It'll let me. This is good because I can just go through this without filling it out. So I didn't like the university setting. It was very stodgy, and I don't like universities in BC or Canada. I don't know, there's something about the atmosphere I don't like, so I didn't like it. Also, the campus activities center, just so happens, was across from it. The signage was terrible at this convention. It was hard to find the venue in the first place, but it was across from the International Center on the campus, and there were like 5 flags flying from poles in front of the building. And of the 5, can you believe the Israeli flag was flying there? What does that tell you? Anyway, so the venue, yeah, it was fairly accessible. Staff and volunteers were friendly. Yeah. Clean and well kept. Well, yeah, kind of. The food was terrible this year. I mean, it was a joke. Actually, it was better last year. The convention was held at an elder care facility, and that was interesting. The food was good, and there were occasionally some elderly that were, in the area, and they were interesting. So the residents where I stayed, yeah, I was able to get that fairly easily, but I had to ask about the discount code. They had a discount code, but that wasn't freely available. I had to contact someone with the convention to get that, and it was not clean. It was a really grubby kind of like a dormitory. I don't know. I don't think it was very well managed. I always blame the management for these things. So it wasn't very clean, and I'm not even a neat freak. I mean, it doesn't have to be super clean, but it was really dirty, I have to say. And yeah, when I was my mother raised us she thought it was healthy to have. She didn't think things should be like too sanitized. She thought it was healthy for our immune system to be challenged with a little bit of dirt. So that's the way I was raised. None of my siblings had any allergies, so we had good, healthy immune systems. And the accommodation could have been cheaper. Convention bed was good, yeah. Folder was okay. Annual report, yeah, okay. Signage was terrible. It's hard to find the venue. So that was my complaint. I had to ask at the residence where it was. There was no sign. Oh, okay. So, yeah. So these are about the workshops. And the keynote. No, I don't really think the keynotes. Andrew Weaver, the BC Green leader, he gave the first keynote on the first night, and I didn't think it was the best speech was actually by this indigenous drummer. So they always have these token drummers because these things are always being held on indigenous land, traditional land. So one of the drummers, who is half white, half English, of English descent, he actually gave a good talk about the problems with these big industrial projects and man camps, and how they displace a lot of indigenous people who are very poor because it increases rents and that sort of thing. So I don't think it was a very good convention. I'm just always disappointed in these conventions. So anyway, so I am going to attend next year's conventions at New Westminster, which is a suburb just outside of Vancouver. So it's west of me. So New Westminster is west of Abbotsford, where I live. So it's between here and Vancouver, so I can get there easily. It's not too far. And yeah, I always keep in touch with other Greens in the area. Yeah, I help out. So, I mean, I will be involved in the party. I would never run as a candidate. Yeah, I would never run as a candidate because you have to toe the party line. That's the problem. You can't have an independent view. It's not like in U.S. politics. I just don't tolerate that at all. You have to do whatever the party wants. Oops. Okay, there's that. And okay, so the other form was about equity and diversity. Now this is a big problem. So equity and diversity in the Green Party. So they talk about a panel here, but there was no panel on the schedule. I see Saturday morning they had a year in review, and it included an equity and diversity report. So I had skipped that. So I don't know. They're saying the panel. So maybe they took questions there. I didn't know that. So I'm sure it was pathetic. Yeah, the problem with their view of equity and diversity is they want women and minorities involved, but I don't really think that they want a diversity of opinions or perspectives. So to me, it's just the same old tired strategy of the U.S. Democratic Party. It's all about identity and personality politics. So it's very superficial. So the Democratic Party, they will have minorities running, but they push the same corporate, they promote corporations, and they don't represent the interests of ordinary people or the working class. It's all about the professional class. So they brag about minorities who have achieved a certain level in their professions or whatever. And I just think that's very superficial. So I will be involved here, but I don't really, I don't think their whole approach is all wrong about getting diversity. They have an indigenous MLA. Adam Olson is his name. Um, yeah. So anyway, so I will continue to be a green, but I'm gonna be trolling them. And so my next opportunity is at the Green Party of Canada convention in Vancouver in late September. I'm all signed up, and I'm hoping to see Elizabeth May there. And so, because she has a conservative background, she has connections to the Clintons. She's very proud of that. She's never disowned that. And yeah. So, anyway, that's my take on my experience at the BC Green Party convention. I will continue to be a very strong critic, and that's all I can do. So, thanks for your patience. I hope you thought this was interesting. It's my perspective as a transplanted Virginian in British Columbia, and I have dual citizenship. So I come in with a very different approach. Hope you thought that was interesting. Okay, I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.